Oh, yes, this is good news. There's already been so much leaked news just across the board. Trump and Mike Johnson are already unveiling their plans for the first 100 days that Trump takes office. They want to make a big moves. And we already know some of the big changes coming, but we've already hearing some leaked news on some additional things that's going to happen. So the big ones that they've talked about already are no taxes on Social Security. This will affect 40 million Americans. No tax on tips. No tax on overtime. Reinstate remain in Mexico. Stop. This is a big one. This is actually a new one that just came out. Stop all the immigration that's coming over. So just basically put a stop to it. No more people coming into the United States whatsoever. This, they want to stop and assess, fix, do everything that needs to be done in order to get things back on track. I don't blame them. Over 20 million have already come in. We need to get a hold on this. So that's a big one. There's also the big Trump tax cuts and talking about doing a reconciliation of the budget in order to make sure that it's instituted for the 2024 tax year for next year. This is a big one. We got a lot more details on some additional things coming into play. We also have news that Joe Biden is getting hit really hard right now with the news and the blame game. Everyone is blaming Joe for not dropping out earlier. They said that Harris had only 107 days to win the presidency and it's all Joe's fault. There was even talks of an impeachment of Joe Biden. I mean, this stuff, you can't make this stuff up. It's literally trending right now, Joe Biden impeachment. That's how bad it's getting. We got more details on that. There is also data coming out that a lot of people are really getting upset over this election and the number of votes cast. Trump just got 72 million votes. Harris got 66 million. In 2020, Biden got 81 million. And everybody's saying, where did they go? What happened? Well, a lot of people are starting to now question the 2020 election and wondering, were those even real votes? At the same time, too, there's leaked news that a lot of major news outlets were fudging Donald Trump's polling numbers, trying to make him look bad. Atlas Intel, the #1 most accurate polling in 2020 and in 2024, just came out and have leaked the news. We got an additional ton of breaking news tonight, guys. Thank y'all so much for joining. If you're subscribed, thank you so much. And if you're not, hit that subscribe button. Join the True Life News fam. We are breaking news every single day. And also, thank you to all of our members of the channel. The link is in the description to join. And just want to say thank you to all the support and everybody that gives a super chat donation. We are truly grateful. We are going to do some amazing things with this channel. I'm so excited for what we've got. Ton of breaking news tonight. You're going to love it because the biggest thing is a lot of change is coming, everybody. Check this out.
The biggest political comeback in American history. President-elect Trump is on his way back to the White House. Earlier, he flipped Michigan, completing his sweep of the 3 blue wall states. And Trump is leading in other key battlegrounds that are still too close to call. Republicans are already set to take control of the Senate, and the Fox News Decision Desk estimates that the GOP has a slight edge in the House as well as states continue to count ballots. A big difference. I have spoken a lot, so I'm going to give all of these lovely people who we want to hear from a chance to talk about the victory. Almost a red wave. You could call it, this is the red wave you've been waiting for?
That's what I predicted last time. I was talking about this election.
Yeah, right. It was a slow roll to the wave.
So I spoke to my mom this morning,
How's she
and
doing?
she was very upset.
Okay.
And I told her it's like the lyrics to that great song. You can't always get what you want, but sometimes if you try, you get what you need.
Oh, I love the Who.
Yeah. And the country needed Donald Trump back in office because the Democrats had gone crazy. Let's think about how crazy they had gone. They were flying Venezuelans into the country and then just putting them in cities. Now, when they started doing that, I started to think they are going to lose. They started making genders up and started putting windmills all over our beaches. They started printing money, giving it to Detroit. They'd opened up factories in Mexico to build these stupid cars nobody wanted. They started emptying prisons. So you're looking at this stuff, and they're going crazy. And then they're telling everybody everything's great. And Joe Biden's fine. Joe Biden's falling down. He can't remember where he is. And they weren't even good at the cover-up. Remember, my daughter Gigi, when she hides, she goes like this. And she thinks you can't see her. That's how bad the cover-up was, because it was just so blatant. And then they're telling you he's great. And then Donald Trump wins because he told the truth.
Yes.
And he listened to the American people. It's not that hard. He listened, he told the truth, and they just lied. They said everything was great, borders secure, you're doing fantastic, and people just got sick of it. He is now going to be president during some great times. He's going to be president during the 250th anniversary of this country.
That'll be a
That's pretty
party.
cool.
He's going to be the president during the 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles, the World Cup. So we're going to get everybody together. I hope we can get things straightened out for this country. And it's a good day. It's morning in America again. It was beautiful. It was sunny. And I spent a lot of time outdoors.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dave.
All right, let's go to Judge Janine.
Well, they told us that he was unqualified to be president. And they tried to prove it over and over again by impeaching him and then indicting him and then convicting him. And by the way, did you notice in the last month, no Democrat has been saying, and he's been guilty. Well, he was found guilty of 34 felony counts. They knew that the American people didn't buy it. So in spite of all the things they threw at him, he won the popular vote, the electoral vote, and then they said, he's got to unify America. The way I saw it last night, when he came out on that stage, America was behind him.
Yes.
77 million Americans were behind him. They were +7 in the blacks, +6 in the Hispanic community, +10 in the youth community, and +2 in women. These were people who believed in him in spite of everything that they threw against him. And, Americans didn't feel at home in America. They were told that we have to have drag queen story hour for your children in school. And they were told that, if your kids want to transition, we don't really have to tell you about that. And by the way, everybody coming through that border, we're vetting them when they weren't. And we had murders and rapes and sexual abuse because they didn't do their job. Forget about the fact that we're a sovereign nation. But when you open the doors, at least check out who they were. And it was over and over again, crimes being committed, letting them out of jail. And don't underestimate COVID. There was a COVID carryover in this vote.
Yep.
None of us forget what it was like when you couldn't go to church and you had to be 6 feet apart, and we couldn't talk about it because they got rid of our First Amendment rights. And it went on and on. And this was an America that said, we don't buy into it. I'm not into this privileged stuff. All my friends are black and Hispanic, and my family is this color and that color. We don't see race the way they did. And they voted for that man.
Big time.
This is the most beautiful part. Exactly what you just heard. Everybody, I'm telling you, everybody now is looking at this and saying, how in the world did Trump, 312 right here, electoral votes sweeping through? This is what the projected amount is. He literally turned the blue wall into red. He's ahead in Arizona, in Nevada. They've already called Alaska. I mean, the point of it is that when you look at places like, this is the Senate, when you look at places like Florida, that is literally a 13.1% difference. But Florida, and this is the telling tale with what I'm about to show you guys, there's a 13.1 difference. We're talking about over 1 million votes. They were able to get everything in and counted within a couple of hours, and they reported. California says it's going to take weeks before they get in all the votes. And what we're finding out now is that this right here, Atlas Intel, is now going to be exposing ABC's polling averages as systematically manipulated to hide the truth about Trump's real numbers. There's a lot of manipulation out there. There's a lot of things that the American people, we've never had access to, but we do now. But we're getting the truth like never before. And what we're finding out is that people are choosing different. And they want to make sure to get the They want to make sure that they are getting the truth and they're voting for the person that they want to be in there. Check this out.
Are calling the race. They're not going to uncall it because someone goes, hey, look, we found 60,000 ballots in a well somewhere. It's not going to happen. You beat them. Take the W tonight and watch the recriminations. They are already doing what I told you was going to happen. They are already starting to do, this guy did it, that guy did it, this guy did it, that guy did it. Listen to this segment from NBC where they're already blaming Joe Biden, like I said, for not getting out of the race early. This is going to be just glorious to watch. Have fun with this over the next few weeks. Check this out.
Jen, has the conversation begun yet about Joe Biden and about the decision to ask him to step aside?
It will begin. It will begin depending on the outcome. Sure. And obviously, there hasn't been a race called yet. If this is not a Harris win, that will certainly be part of the discussion. It is. She's run a campaign over the course of 107 days. That is not something we've seen in history, and there'll be lots of questions about exactly that, the timing, and the impact of that.
Well, Chuck was bringing up the history. I mean, in terms of vice presidents trying to win the presidency with a unpopular president, he said it's bordering on politically impossible.
And this gets
Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy it. Enjoy it. These are the same losers who told you your president 45 at the time was some Russian stooge. These are the same people who accuse you of being a bunch of dumb flyover country morons, even though you and your families built this place and feed everyone. These are the same people our military. These are the same people who called you deplorables, garbage. How many times do we got to say this? Liberals think you're bad people with ideas. We think liberals are people with bad ideas. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing.
That's a good point.
And now you enjoy this. You enjoy this victory. When bad things happen to bad people, that's a good day for you. And now they don't know what to do. Watch them eat each other alive. You did something special last night. There were 3 things we focused on this show. I'm going to get to in a little bit. Vote early. We could not stop talking about it. And look, it worked.
Yes.
The other thing we focused on, I dedicated my radio show exclusively to the U.S. Senate, and we won it. And the other thing I begged you to do was to show up no matter what state you were in, red, blue, or purple, because we needed a popular vote mandate, because now they have no vehicle. Oh, well, at least we won at least nothing. We took everything from you.
Yes.
You won nothing. Now you guys have to look at yourselves and watch the finger pointing. The same thing happened after the Reagan-Bush era, when they didn't know what to do, when they were put out in the political wilderness and they had to run centrist again. You're going to see that happen if they're smart, which they're not. Eric Daughtry tweet. You are witnessing right now the greatest comeback in American political history, folks. Impeached, charged and convicted by his political opponents, charged, nearly killed twice, accused of being Hitler and everything in between. And now the 47th president of the United States. Thanks to you, the Bongino army that came through in the clutch. More. Always more. Never enough. Always more. I am enjoying this thoroughly. You want to call me a Nazi and a fascist, I'm going to tell you to go F yourself, and I'm going to watch it when you melt down. You realize how stupid of a strategy this was. Here's CNN and Jake Tapper left stunned by how independents are flipping the way of the GOP under Donald Trump. That last part's important. Under Donald Trump. Watch this.
Independent voters. They make up 31% of the electorate. That is a slightly larger share than what they made up 4 years ago. Trump is winning them by 11 points in these early exit poll results, 54% to 30%. Jake, 4 years ago, Joe Biden won independent voters in Georgia when he won the state by 9 points. So we've seen a swing of 20 points towards Trump in terms of the margin. from
That is
9-point advantage 4 years
insane.
ago with independents for Biden to now an 11-point advantage with independents for Trump in Georgia. Jake.
Wow, they're giant. And Dana, that is really significant. We see some incremental changes here and there when it comes to young voters. She's doing slightly better. Non-college whites, he's doing slightly better. But that independent swing is wild.
It's a huge swing, and I just want to underscore what David said. It is a bigger percentage of the vote share. Last time around, it was 28% independents. I made up 28% of the Georgia vote, and now it is 30%. And, I was right, 31%. And it is a total flip. It's a complete flip. Donald Trump is doing so much better with independents than Kamala Harris.
Folks, if you were you guys watching our stream last night? Listen, I so deeply appreciate you being there. The team did an amazing job. They had put this together for months. I had a couple shots of tequila. My brother, I think, texted me and was like, hey, man, the show was a whole lot funnier after that double shot of 1942, whatever. Whatevs, man. I was having a blast. The reason we were able on our show to make calls a whole lot earlier is, one, corporate media, they were just like, they had their heads up. They're like, oh my gosh, we don't want the left wingers. We were getting information through producer Jim, from trusted sources that were telling us this thing was over. I said it so many times last night. If you guys played it.
Sorry to interrupt everybody, but I'm telling you this. We were doing the live stream on this show. We called it at 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. They didn't officially call everything till about 1:25 is when Pennsylvania was announced. But here on True Life, we saw it. We called it like 10 p.m., like 3 hours before. Thank you so much, The British Perspective, for the super chat. Said, great coverage, old MAGA. And Deanna Rankin, thank you so much for your support. Y'all show them some love in the chat, everybody.
Drinking game, every time I told you Kamala Harris was at a runway, you drunk, you would have been in the hospital. You would have had alcohol poisoning. There was no runway. She needed at about 9:30 at night to pull ahead with at least one demographic in a swing state, a strong demographic for Democrats. Women, suburban voters, black voters, Hispanic voters. None of that happened anywhere. Anywhere, in any swing state. We were getting numbers out of like Arizona Hispanics at 9 o'clock. That's how I knew it was over. That's why I told you. We said we would go to 11:30, went to like 11:45. I told you as I got off the air, folks, this thing is over. There is no runway for her. There was nowhere to go. Here's Josh Krashour. Here's the story of the election night from Fox's voter analysis. White voters, 53-43. Trump was 55-43 Trump in 2020. Okay, but look at black voters. 81-15 Harris was 91-8 Biden. Wait, hold this, keep that up there. What did I tell you months ago? Jim, remember? And a bunch of people attacked us. Did we not say they'd get about 15% of black vote? You remember? I remember the guy, you're crazy. You say that every time. Who's crazy now? Who's crazy now? Hispanic voters, 56-40 Harris was 63-35 Biden in 2020. She had no runway, folks.
Nope.
She had no runway. Donald Trump's greatest gift to the Republican Party is going to be altering the demographics of our party forever. Here's Ryan Godersky. Trump won Starr County, Texas, the most Hispanic county in America, by 16 points. The last time Starr County, Texas voted Republican, what does that say? Does that say 1992?
1892.
He says no, it says 1890. 1892? That's a long time ago. Not even Jim was born yet. That 1892. Folks, they were out of runway. I think we brought this talking point up last night early. They were out of runway. Look at Ted Cruz's performance in Texas.
Yes.
Texas Senate race. Ted Cruz won Latino voters by 6 points. In his last race, he lost it by 29. That's a slight 35-point swing.
35
Just a little bit.
Swing.
Just a little bit.
This is amazing, everybody. Hey, check this out. I'm telling you, we got some good stuff to show you. There's a lot of breaking news, but I'll say this. I love it. This Dan Bongino does the red flags. You know what we're going to do on True Life? Get the popcorn ready because we're about to have a show. Y'all show me the popcorn emojis, everybody. I love it. So right here, this is again, remember I told you at the beginning of the show, people are starting to say, what the heck happened in 2020? How does Obama go 69, 65 million, Clinton 65 million, and Biden 81 million? And then Harris drops down to 66. It literally doesn't make sense. This is 100%. They think the bad stuff, guys. It's the bad stuff. That's what they're saying. On top of that, check this out. This is where, again, what I'm about to show you next is the Speaker of the House. They're about to make some major changes. And they're going to be working a big time with this guy who might be the Senate leader. Because remember, Republicans have the Senate now. We have control. Rand Paul, finally, he said this, with this Republican Senate majority, we can focus on controlling spending, limiting government, and putting America first. Fireworks for you, Mr. Paul. Let's go. Looking forward to dedication to fiscal responsibility. Cheers to the Senate leading the charge for a streamlined government focused on the Constitution. Already has millions and millions of views. This is big. He might be the one to take, because remember, Speaker Johnson is leading the House. We need somebody who's going to lead the Senate. So that's where we may see Rand Paul take it over. Love the popcorn.
Bernie Moreno,
emojis,
they're
everybody.
here. That'll be fun, and that's next.
Check it out.
All right, the GOP is taking control of the Senate, which we'll get to in a moment, with Ohio Senator-elect Bernie Moreno, but control of the House is still too close to call. Right now, the AP projects 205 seats captured by the Republicans and 190 by Democrats. 218 are needed for majority. Joining me now, House Speaker Mike Johnson. Mr. Speaker, you sent a letter today to your colleagues, and you wrote that Congress has to begin delivering for the people on day one, and that you already have a priority list of key conservative policies that you can achieve with your Senate Republican colleagues. What's the top of that list, sir?
Well, we'll be basing it on what is top of mind for the American people. I've been traveling the country nonstop over the last year. We did over 360 campaign events in 40 different states. I traveled so much in the last year I could circle the globe 5.5 times. That's what the team tabulated. But what I heard out there, Laura, was the same thing. The same thing. It didn't matter where we are in the country, north, south, east, west, same thing. Everybody fed up about the cost of living, the rising crime rates, the wide open border, and the weakness on the world stage. And we have plans to fix all of that beginning on day one. We have to deliver for the people, and we will. President Trump wants to be aggressive. He wants to go big, and we're excited about that. We're going to get to play offense because I'm absolutely convinced we're going to have the White House, the Senate, and the House. I think we will deliver that majority. We're going to be ready to play ball on day one.
Now, is it true, Mr. Speaker, that Pelosi did not even congratulate or acknowledge President Trump on the victory? Apparently there was a statement saying House Democrats are united behind Hakeem Jeffries as we vow to continue putting people over politics, et cetera, working families, liberty, and justice for all. I was wondering if she was going to take the final vote tally and go do that thing. Remember what I just ripped up my notes.
How can we forget?
Anyway. Yeah, exactly. So that's just classless. I'm sorry, but come on.
We don't pay much attention to what Nancy Pelosi says anymore. She's not in power, and she won't be for a long time now. I think we've got a mandate from the American people. I was delighted to be with President Trump and the whole team in Palm Beach last night. It was such a great celebration into the wee hours of the morning. People are excited. We're exhausted from the campaign, but we are exhilarated about the days ahead. The majority of the people in this country want to restore common sense. They want secure borders. They want a robust energy policy. They want a free market that thrives and creates more jobs and better economic opportunity for more people.
Speaker,
we can deliver all that. We know how to do it.
But the President-elect Trump, that's the first time I've said that, I realize. President-elect Trump can do a lot just by executive order, but I do understand from my sources that they want laws passed. They don't want an executive order that can just be thrown away, in 4 years or 8 years. They want permanent change. Can't ask for asylum inside the country. Can't play the game where you come here and say, oh, I'm oppressed, and you get to stay. He's even talked about the birthright citizenship issue, which obviously is more problematic because of the Constitution. That would require more thinking and study, but he doesn't want to just do the executive orders. Is that what your understanding is as well?
Yes, and our agenda is to enact this into law. We need real comprehensive immigration reform. We've needed it for a long time.
That sounds
having
like
an aggressive
amnesty.
commander-in-chief.
That sounds like amnesty. Every time I've heard a Republican say that, it's like earn path to citizenship. Then we have 20 million, people who, get their citizenship overnight. Every time I hear that, it drives me crazy.
Laura,
but you can explain.
No, we're talking about. No, we want to do the opposite of amnesty. If you do an amnesty program, you invite more people to violate the law. That's exactly the opposite of what we need to do. We got to begin on day one with securing the border. President Trump will issue an executive order. He has that authority under existing statutory law. But we've got to come right behind him with a robust legislative agenda. We have got to do this for the American people, secure the border, and then turn to the catastrophe that's been created by the border being opened. It is complex, as you know. It is comprehensive.
Deportation.
And we're going to be dealing with it for decades, but we're ready to go.
Does that include
deportation?
Because he won on that issue. That was a big part of this mandate. People have to leave, and they can if they leave, they can reapply maybe later on. Yes, every House Republican ran on that issue all around the country. It's so important because we know we have dangerous criminals, for example. We've got probably 4.5 million of those. No, it's a nightmare.
That we can go to immediately and send them back where they came from. We're going to do all that.
Yes or no? Are you going to grow your majority, which is already razor thin? We were hoping for more seats in New York and California, but are you going to grow that majority?
We feel really good tonight about where we sit with those California seats. We're still waiting. They've got to cure ballots and finish all their process. But look, I think we are going to grow the majority. We're going to have enough numbers to run the agenda through the House and the Senate. And President Trump is going to be a transformational president. I think we're entering the most consequential era in a positive way.
Yeah, it better be.
Probably in the modern
It better
era.
be. Yeah, there's been a lot of. We're going to be watching you every step of the way. You'd expect nothing less from the Ingram angle, Mr. Speaker.
This is good stuff, really good stuff. So what they're talking about is the trifecta. So right now, when we look at the actual charts, of course, we already know Trump's taken the presidency. We already know with the Senate. So think about it like this. Having a 51 majority is very different than having a 52 majority or a 53 majority. The reason being is because when it comes to cabinet members and when it comes to passing certain bills, you have to get at least 54 votes in. So for those that don't know this, a little bit about the Congress, there's most of the time it's a 60. You got to get at least 60 votes. Or on some big stuff, there's then the next level down is 54, and then the next level down is the majority, 51. So this is what they're talking about. And then in the House, the state of the race is where this is at, according to the Associated Press. We got to get to 218 for the majority. But remember, in California, there's a lot of places where we're getting House seats for the Republicans. But California, they said it could take weeks. 3 to 4 weeks, guys. I'm not even joking saying this. Excuse me. To get the results in. So, with that, we're still going to need some time to figure out if we got the House majority, but they are projecting that it is going to go to the Republicans. So, this is very, very good news, able to help transform America very quickly according to all the current data that we have. Check this out.
Back in American political history, Donald Trump defeating Kamala Harris in a landslide. Axios is calling him one of the most transcendent political figures of our time. After surviving 2 impeachments, 2 assassins, and 94 felony indictments, he did it because you did it. The machine lost, and the Obama-Biden dynasty went down with it. The Republican Party in the United States of America will never be the same.
This is the biggest red wave I've seen since Ronald Reagan's 49-state victory in 1984.
This was a sweeping victory. He is a seismic force in American history.
I have to see how bad the shellacking is. This is a shellacking for the Democrats tonight.
Trump's on track to win 312 electoral votes, as we believe Arizona and Nevada will move red after their counts.
Let's go.
Liberals woke up this morning confused. How could a dictator win the popular vote and take the Senate and probably the House? The answer's simple. They lied to you, but Trump listened to you.
Yes.
They told you the border was secure, the economy was humming, and Joe Biden was an Olympic athlete, even though he couldn't stop falling down and forgetting his own name. If you had a problem with that, they censored you. And when they started losing, they called you fascist garbage, who just needed a smack in the ass. The last 4 years, we witnessed the Democrats go crazy. They loaded illegals into airplanes and flew them here. They emptied jails, made up genders, handed out free sex changes, and printed money like Zimbabwe. We all watched it happen. We didn't like it. Trump listened, said, I hear you, I get it, I'll fix it. It's not that complicated. We kept the faith in the face of last-minute hoaxes. Remember, Kamala was going to win Iowa. A comedian made a joke about Puerto Rico. Oh, my God, it's over. Trump's tariffs are going to wreck the economy. Really? Because the market today had its best day in 2 years. Trump did better with Puerto Ricans and beat her by 13 in Iowa.
Let's go.
The American people don't like being lied to. Trump even did better with women than Kamala did with men. Imagine that. Wives didn't have to lie to their husbands. The so-called racist dictator shattered records with blacks, Hispanics, Jews, and college students. His margin in Springfield, Ohio, where they're definitely not eating the pets, went up. Trump, Mr. Muslim Ban, won Muslims in Dearborn, Michigan. The guy who they said hated Hispanics won Miami-Dade County. That's the first time a Republican pulled that off since Reagan.
Yes, huge.
And the funniest part of the election, and we've had some moments, was that Biden would have done better than Harris if he hadn't gotten whacked.
So you asked, are there any places that the vice president is overperforming Joe Biden in 2020? So we could show you that as well. We just bring that out here. Harris overperforming 2020.
Holy smokes.
There you go. So let this go away and see if there's anything on the east side there.
Literally nothing?
Literally nothing.
Literally nothing. One Democrat said, this is as bad as I've ever seen. This was a total and complete repudiation of the Democratic Party. People are not buying what we're selling, period. Just like that. Democrats watched the Obama-Biden rainbow coalition evaporate. Not only did Trump defeat Kamala and Biden, he defeated identity politics. DEI is dead. But the Reverend is skipping the funeral.
We've got to be honest, among Hispanic men and black men, there's a lot of misogyny. And I think that we've got to deal with the reality that he appealed to this whole false macho thing that some black men and some Latino men went for.
The Democrats lied to you, and then they made you feel bad about yourself for not swallowing the lie. All Donald Trump did was listen and not write you off. Campaigning with a celebrity security blanket, what was it, Bruce, Beyonce, Oprah? Maybe not the best look when the country can't afford groceries and rent. Kamala met with Liz Cheney more than she met with her own sisters.
There are 9 HBCUs in North Carolina. Do you know how many of them she visited? 1. Imagine if she'd been spending time doing that instead of hanging out with Liz Cheney in the Midwest. Could have been a different story tonight.
Kamala took blacks for granted, pandered to them, made Barack scold them. Same thing with Hispanics. Yeah, she didn't call them tacos like Jill, but you need more than J-Lo.
Look, Hispanic voters are swing voters, and I think, you know, what's interesting here is the Republican Party treated them the same way they treated white working class voters. They courted them the same way they treated white working class voters. The Democratic Party has spent a lot of time treating it as an identity group, and I think we're starting to see sort of a working class coalition start to drift to the right.
Democrats were already having a problem with the white working class, and now they have a problem with the white, black, and brown working class. But black and brown people aren't the only ones getting scolded. White women got a tongue lashing too.
Why do you think that uneducated white women voted against their reproductive health freedoms, and why do you think Latino men voted in favor of someone that's going to deport, says he's going to deport the majority of his community?
White women like being called uneducated white women. I think the economy matters, national security matters. But when you put people in these boxes, I think that's a takeaway from this race.
Abortion was supposed to make this the battle of the sexes. Didn't happen. This election wasn't decided by race or gender. It was decided by class. Trump won the working class, wherever they lived and whatever they looked like. That's the sweet spot of American political power. And the Democrats derided and deserted them, even though they're outnumbered by them. What a stupid strategy. You can't win over America if you hate Americans. And what the Democrats did, and it won't be forgiven for a while, they didn't even look like they cared.
You don't have to be intelligent to know you can't pay your bills. You don't have to be intelligent to know you can't afford groceries. People will forget what you did, they will forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel.
The Democrats deluded themselves into believing they had the people behind them. And they were shocked when the votes came in.
I can tell you in conversations we've had with a series of individuals, including a Democrat who was attending a donor event that was taking place at one of the glitzy hotels not far from where we are here in Washington, D.C. They say the atmosphere there was like a funeral.
This victory restores the power to the people. The Republic had been preyed upon for far too long by a greedy ruling class more interested in control than their own countrymen. Any threat to their power, no matter how minor, was met with the full force of the machine. It worked during COVID, but it doesn't work anymore.
Nobody deserves this more than him, and nobody deserves this more than his family does. This is what happens when the machine comes after you. What you've seen over the last several years, this is what it looks like. Couldn't stop him. He keeps going forward. He doesn't quit. He's the most resilient, hardworking man I've ever met in my life. His family are incredible people. This is karma, ladies and gentlemen. He deserves this. They deserve it as a family.
Make no mistake, Donald Trump has a massive mandate, a common sense coalition destined to rebuild the American dream. Trump won the election his way. He didn't have to compromise who he was and what he wanted. So his leadership and his agenda must be respected. We've sent him to Washington on a mission, and just like he has high expectations of us, we have high expectations of him. Remember, Trump can't run again, so he's got nothing to lose.
Nothing to
lose. He just has to deliver what the American people demand. And with the right team, he'll execute. The future looks bright. Trump is going to be presiding over America's 250th anniversary. How poetic. Oh, and in LA Summer Olympics and the World Cup. What a perfect fate. The Never Trump movement has been vanquished. The lawfare is over, more on that later. And House and Senate troublemakers have all disappeared. While we fight to fix the economy, crime, and the border, we also need to get to the bottom of Butler and what really happened that day. And we deserve to see the Epstein materials, the JFK files, and the Diddy tapes. That's not revenge, that's justice. Last night was the first day of American justice in a very long time. And now Trump has a clear runway to do what he's always wanted to do and what we need him to do. And we'll hold him to his word.
Nothing will stop me from keeping my word to you, the people. We will make America safe, strong, prosperous, powerful, and free again. And I'm asking every citizen all across our land to join me in this noble and righteous endeavor. That's what it is. It's time to put the divisions of the past 4 years behind us. It's time to unite. And we're going to try. We have to try. And it's going to happen. Success will bring us together. I will fight for you, for your family, and your future. Every single day I will be fighting for you, and with every breath in my body, I will not rest until we have delivered the strong, safe, and prosperous America that our children deserve and that you deserve. This will truly be the golden age of America. That's what we have to have.
Let's go. This is big, everybody. So this is just happened a while ago. Biden has called Trump and told him, hey, guess what? I guess you're going to be the next president. So let's do the transition. Let's start calling him. So he called him, congratulated him, invited him to the White House to discuss the transition. This is, as real as it gets. Area 5180, welcome to the fam. Let's go. Show Area some love in the chat, everybody. So remember, the biggest thing that we're dealing with now is the transition team. Whenever you become president, a lot of people don't know, the president and through other people effectively hire 10,000 positions as president. It's a lot of work, got to involve a lot of people. That's why he's called them and said the transition starts now. So we got essentially, a little, say 2 months. It's January 20th where he gets inaugurated in, but It's going to be essentially 2 months to transition, start getting everybody ready, picking all the people to transition into Trump's White House. So a big one, person who's going to play a pivotal role, guys, I'm telling you, this guy's going to make it happen is this guy.
X, from my perspective, played a pivotal role, not just in this election, but in keeping the country alive.
Yeah. Well, X is, I think, the one place where you can find out the truth.
Yes.
And
the only place.
Yeah.
So how much pressure, to the extent you can say, has there been on you to shut it down or to censor it?
Well, I mean, apart from the multiple Democrats saying that I should go, they want to put me in jail, take away all government contracts from my companies, nationalize my companies, deport me as an illegal, and have me arrested because I'm apparently Putin's best friend. Nothing besides those things.
So you saw Rachel Maddow sort of casually, who's the single most popular media figure on the left.
Yeah.
For the right. Say, just sort of casually, well, Elon Musk will obviously need to be separated from his companies. You know, he can't be a government, he can't hold government contracts going forward. Like, how do you respond to that?
Rachel Maddow is a crazy person. You know, she's just a frothing at the mouth, crazy fascist, basically. Dressed as sort of pretending to be a liberal, but she's just really like I can't imagine imagine if she was in charge, actually in a position of political power, what a nightmare that would be.
Well, many would die.
Yes.
So do you expect the pressure will lessen now that Trump?
I mean, we'll see. I mean, certainly last time President Trump was elected, I mean, I think they tried to impeach him within like 20 minutes of him taking office.
That was so crazy.
This time, I don't know. We'll see. They may. I don't think they'll be quite as intense as last time. Because I think we actually have a decent chance here of a significant victory, not a small victory.
Yes.
And at the point at which you clearly just have the public mandate, then you have the public mandate. I mean, I think the numbers I've seen we're close to winning the popular vote in addition to the electoral vote, even though there's basically been zero campaigning in California, which is the biggest state in the country. So, sometimes people say, "Oh, the Republican didn't win the popular vote." I'm like, that's because he wasn't trying. If you actually try to win the popular vote, then you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't take that much. I think it made a big difference that President Trump and soon-to-be Vice President Vance went on lengthy podcasts.
Yes.
I think this makes this really makes a difference because people look at like Joe Rogan's podcast, which is great, and Lex Friedman's and the All In podcast, and to a reasonable-minded, smart person who's not like hardcore one way or the other, they just listen to someone talk for a few hours, and that's how they decide whether you're a good person, whether they like you, and especially like Rogan's podcast, 3 hours long. I mean, you could. This is why I actually posted on X nothing would do more damage to Kamala's campaign than going on Joe Rogan because she'd run out of non sequiturs after about 45 minutes.
You can't hide in 3 hours.
Yeah, like hour 2 and 3 would be a complete melted puddle of nonsense. So it would just be absolute game over. That's why I shouldn't go on.
So I mean, how does?
But on the other hand, Trump he's there and there's no talking points. He's just being a normal person. He's having a conversation, and doing 3 hours of Rogan, no problem.
What do you think of him? You spent a lot of time with him in the last several months.
I think he's a very interesting, funny person, and much maligned by the media, obviously, and he's withstood a lot, and I think he's. You mentioned that as you mentioned, I endorsed him immediately after he was shot because when you see somebody under fire, what is their reaction to that? Because immediately, is someone brave or are they a coward?
Yes.
Okay, the bullets, they get hit by bullets, blood's come down the face. there could have been a second shooter, and yet, he's going fight. That's true courage.
Yes.
Can't fake it.
Impossible.
And America is the home of the free and land of the brave. So that's who we want as president.
It was so.
We want a brave.
We want a brave person who's not afraid. Because again, too, remember, Putin today already has reached out to Trump to say we need to figure out a way to end the war. You cannot make this up. So right now, check this out. Remember we've always talked about voter ID, the voter ID laws. Well, guess what? They win the House. It's happening. They're going to pass federally a voter ID law because I want to show you something super important that a lot of people are speculative over, and it's this. So let's look at this map real quick. Harris, Trump, look at all the red states, look at the blue states. So Washington, Oregon, California, Colorado, New Mexico, Virginia, Illinois, New York, the big ones. Those are the ones that have the most electoral votes. Watch this. The map below details voter ID requirements by state. Hover over state for additional details. Look at the non-gray ones where no ID is required. What did Harris win? Washington, Oregon, California, Illinois, Minnesota, and New York. This right here is sparking a lot of speculation that Kamala won all the states that don't require voter ID. We're seeing a lot of this pop up that a lot of people are speculative that if you had voter ID like how Tennessee has it, how Florida has it, that there is a greater population of Republicans in a 70-30 split. 70% Republican, 30% for Democrats in the United States. Let me know your thoughts. But again, too, now we're moving into this next thing where it's the transition. Check this out.
Harris didn't call Trump to concede. She went to bed with Doug and waited until this afternoon to say congrats. Now, we don't know what went down for those 12 hours, but we're going to find out. At 4 o'clock, she came out and told her supporters, it's over.
The outcome of this election is not what we wanted, not what we fought for, not what we voted for. But hear me when I say, the light of America's promise will always burn bright. I know folks are feeling and experiencing a range of emotions right now. I get it. But we must accept the results of this election. While I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign. Sometimes the fight takes a while. That doesn't mean we won't win. That doesn't mean we won't win.
There wasn't a dry eye at Howard University or over at 30 Rock.
Tell me what you're thinking.
Well, I'm so proud. I'm so proud of her. I don't think people realize how hard it is to get to where she was. Her fighting through the primary thicket of California politics to become Attorney General, really hard. I mean, this is really hard stuff. And then to be vice president and to step into the most difficult situation in the world where she had to be completely loyal to Joe Biden and respectful of the fact that he had chosen her, but yet maneuver in a situation. I mean, such political skill. It is just inspiring.
Political skill?
Politics.
Claire must not have seen Kamala on Bret Baier. Now, Trump won because he focused on the future, and Kamala lost because she was only focused on Trump. And now she's just going to hand over the keys to a dictator? Doesn't make sense because she was never serious. She seems to have made her peace, but the media is already calling for protests and interference.
We're going to need the whole country to recognize that risk in advance, to call it what it is when they try it, and to actively resist it.
I have every confidence that pro-democracy forces in this country will continue to stand up and make their voices heard. Some will be citizens, and many of you sitting at home right now digesting this news right now, some of them will be you.
We should protest if the situation arises that we need to protest, which I'm sure it will.
Wow.
And what about all those Trump trials? They're over. The DOJ can't prosecute a sitting president. So all of Biden-Harris's federal cases against Trump,
gone.
About to go kaput. And the state cases, looks like they're on ice for quite a while. Oh, and by the way, Joe Biden just invited Trump to the White House. They're going to have a nice sit down and chat together, as is the tradition after the election. Congrats, Donald. I would have beaten you again, by the way. Nice win, but I might need your help with Hunter. Looking for a pardon. Maybe a...
I'm telling you this, guys. This is huge. So one of the things I want to show you real quick, too, is what's going to happen with RFK. This is big, everybody. I'm telling you, what RFK is planning to do, you have to hear him to hear it, to believe it, because again, too, we've got a lot of bureaucracy. We've got a lot of unelected bureaucrats in the federal government that are controlling a lot of our lives. Listen to this.
16 or 19 ingredients, and you go to Canada and it's got 2 or 3.
Would you eliminate any of the agencies?
To eliminate the agencies, as long as it requires congressional approval, I wouldn't be doing that. And I can get the corruption out of the agencies. This is what I've been doing for 40 years. I've sued all those agencies. I have a PhD in corporate corruption, and that's what I do. And once they're not corrupt, once Americans are getting good science and are allowed to make their own choices, they're going to get a lot healthier.
You hear that? So this is where he's telling MSNBC that he plans to cut out entire departments out of these agencies to make them non-corrupt. Let me show you just a quick example. So if you look at the US version of a Pop-Tart and the UK version, in the US, high fructose corn syrup, guys, this is one of the most unhealthiest, just makes you overweight, just adds a lot of unhealthiness to your diet. TBHQ, caramel color, red 40, yellow 6, blue 1. These are really, really bad things. In other countries like the UK, it doesn't exist. They use real sugar, not fake high fructose corn syrup. So this is a big thing, and RFK is planning to do this across multiple foods, just big time, make America healthy again. These are big initiatives, everybody. And I want to say, too, I'm with it. I've got kids. I want them to be as healthy as possible. A lot of people say, well, I grew up eating all that stuff and whatnot. Well, when we grew up, it didn't have all the crap that it has in it now today's. I mean, look at this. I'm not joking. Check this out. When you look even at fries from McDonald's, you cannot make this up, people. You look at what goes into making the fries from McDonald's in the United States: vegetable oil, canola oil, corn oil, soybean oil, hydrogenated soybean oil, natural beef flavor. What goes in the UK? And the reason is because they ban these substances because they're not healthy and they do damage. Vegetable oil, sunflower rapeseed. So you see there's a big difference just across the board of where the United States is at and what we got to do to clean things up. And just want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button so I can serve you every day with the top news. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. We really appreciate everybody's support. We are so thankful for every member on the channel. So thank you for all the super chats on the channel. The British Perspective, Deanna Rankin, thank y'all so much. Area 5180 for joining the fam. We are so grateful for this channel. We just crossed over 150,000 subscribers. I remember when I started this channel, we had 0. And praise God, we've all come together. We're creating an amazing community, and I just want to keep growing this, serving you, giving back to make a positive change in this world through this channel. We love you. We thank you so much. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.